Hi guys and girls, Alan here, Derriton33. I've got my camera pointed at hot water tank here because one of the questions I've been asked quite a lot of plumbing tips is how to get an immersion heater out of a tank to replace it, especially if it's gone. But mainly, not so much that, but how to get it out without splitting the tank, because if you put too much pressure on here, this collar will split, and once that's split, the tank's finished. You've got to renew that tank, which could cost you £300–400. So what I'm saying is a way of trying to get this out of here without splitting the tank. Now, you drain it out a little bit from the bottom, turn your valve off, drain it a little bit out, it's ready to go at the levels below the immersion. So you know that much so far, because otherwise you'll be watching this video. Now then, before doing this job, don't forget, shut your valve off to the cold feed to the cylinder, okay? Make sure you shut that off. When it's off, try the bath tap or any hot tap, and when it comes to a stop, you know you've got the right tap, okay? Because sometimes you can have more than one in an airing cupboard. Once that's off, then get a little bit of hose, or get a prop hose and run it right outside the bottom of your tank. There will be a drain valve. There's mine. Stick it on. The hose on there, undo that valve anti-clockwise and let a little bit of water out. You haven't got to let a lot out, just about a bowlful or two, and then shut it back off. Okay, then it's almost ready to take out. The next thing obviously is you've got to undo the wires. Sorry, it's a little bit dark in my cupboard, but there you go, it is. I'm not going to show you. There's 3 wires on there. There's a mains goes into the stat there, there's an earth goes onto there, and there's a neutral wire on one of the terminals at the back. Okay, it's a little bit dark in my cupboard, but once you've undone those, pull the cable out. Make sure you turn the power off first, obviously. Don't do it without turning the power off, please. And then obviously when the new immersion's in, just wire it back up again. It will come with directions for the new stat and everything when you get it anyway, and the wiring directions, which is fairly easy. You don't need an electrician to do it, not in my book, I never have. And obviously when your new one's on, just wire it back up again and put your cover on. Okay, so it's fairly simple. And the covers are pretty simple. They're just a cover like this. It goes on. You can see it just drops through the hole there. Okay, fairly simple job. But do remember that with the spanner, you will need that monument spanner. Thank you. But how do you get this out without it splitting the tank? Well, I've been plumbing for years and years, and I've found no real easy solution. Don't put any heat on there. If you do think that's going to go, it will probably soften the collar even more, and it will probably split even more. Now, years ago, when tanks were made of good thick quality copper, you could use one of these. And this is the obvious use. The old Stilson, where you put it on there, and I used to get a big hammer and just give it a few clouts on there, and it would come out. But these days tanks are a lot thinner. I wouldn't chance using that. Now another tool you get, now I know in some particular tanks you've got inset immersions that are set in, and you'd be forced to use one of these because you wouldn't be able to get that around the collar. There wouldn't be enough room. So on some tanks you have got to use a collar spanner like this, but I'm telling you, these really don't seem to work either. They can't get enough pressure on it. If you try to bang it around there, it will just come off, and it will just lose its grip. I found this to be totally useless. It's made by Amtech. It's a cheap old thing, admittedly, but I've tried more expensive ones. Again, doesn't work. There's only one tool I found that does a job, and it's hard to find, and that's this spanner here. It's called a Monument, and it's an immersion heater spanner, 361T, and if you want to change immersion heaters, this is the one to get. It is solid heavy, it's weighty, and it's short, and you might wonder why that is, but when it goes over the immersion, it fits lovely. I haven't took the wire off, which is why it won't drop right down over, because this is my own immersion at home. I'm not taking it out, I'm just showing you how it's done. But basically you can clamp that over there once it's dropped over the grid, and get your club hammer. This is most important, a nice hefty club hammer. Now remembering that to tighten it is that way, okay? That way tightens your immersion, so to undo it you need to go that way. Put that over your nut. This gives you plenty of room, and hold on to the spanner there, okay, and then whack it there hard as you can, and that sharp little knock seems to undo it without splitting the collar. I've had a very high success rate with that. I think I only had 2 tanks over 30 years that ever split the collar, and that was because they were very, very old tanks. And the immersions have been in there for about 25 years or more. But needless to say, the success rate with the Monument spanner is very high, and I wouldn't contemplate doing an immersion eater with anything less. So if you want to successfully get that immersion out and renew it yourself, that's the tool. I'm not out doing advertising for Monument tools. I've nothing to do with them. I'm just a plumber that's been plumbing for 40 odd years, and I'm passing this experience on to you. So there you go. That's the tip for doing an immersion eater in any tank. No matter what, if you can get that in there, that's the one. Don't use Stilsons, okay? They will split the tank. Okay, well, that's it from me. Thanks very much for watching. Derriton33 for more of our videos. Lots on there, lots of stuff, especially plumbing tips and pieces. Thanks very much for watching.